Hi again, Marcy Davis from Quick Start Piano, where adults learn by playing the music they love most. And we're back in the key of E minor again. This is our second set of exercises. If you haven't tried the first set, I might go back and do that video first because they're a little bit easier, a little bit more basic. So what we'll do first is I'll give you a little tour, a sample of the end product for inspiration, and after that we'll have the tutorial. E minor explorations 2. We're going to be doing 7th chords in the left hand this time. If you haven't looked at our first version, which is a little easier and has more basic hand positions, you might want to go back and look at that, the E minor explorations number 1. But if you feel like you're ready for this, go ahead and take a stab at it. We're going to talk a little bit about 7th chords. If you haven't studied them, you don't need to worry too much about it. You'll still be able to do the patterns. So the left hand pattern, we have an E minor 7. The full E minor 7 uses these 4 notes, E, G, B, D. We're going to leave one out because it sounds a little better and it's a little less awkward to play. And here's the first pattern. And then it switches to 1, 2, 3, 4. So those 2 patterns we're going to use over and over again. The left hand is a little easier than the right. And actually the challenge on this will be putting them together. And then we're going to move this down to C major 7. The full chord is C, E, G, B. We're going to leave off the E. It should feel exactly the same in your hand. It's just white notes. You just move down to C. Take those 2 patterns and alternate back and forth between E minor 7 and C major 7, and then we've got some right hand patterns to put with it. I see I'm not exactly following the repeats. You can be flexible on the repeats. I put them in there so people would know we're not just meant to race through this. You're going to want to do lots of repetitions. And you can do them however you want, whether you want to group 2 together and make a circle out of those or group 4 together. Either way will work. All right, so that was the second line. Now we're going to switch hand positions. 3rd finger on G, 5th finger on C. the triad even on the right hand. This is part of my chord, part of my 7th chord, and then I put one extra little note in here for color. And this is part of my C major triad, it's just the top half. And it sounds really pretty when you put them together like that. So then I wanted to do a little sideways note on theory of where am I getting these notes? How am I choosing what to play? And what I'm using is I'm using the E minor pentatonic scale. And we obviously don't finger it that way. And one of the ways you can think about it, here's our old E minor that we used in the other exercise. And we also use these notes. So one of the ways you can think about it is I put a red on this note. We're not going to ever hit the C. And if you have stickies, it might even be helpful to put that in there. And then most of the time we're not going to hit this, but sometimes we will. So then that leaves those notes right there. 5 notes, which is where we get the penta from. So you could play like that, which is exactly what I've got in the 3rd line. That is the hand position. So let's try that out. To experiment. These scales are pretty flexible. They sound pretty good no matter how you do it. But if you're wanting to get practice on reading the rhythms and reproducing them, that's what these pages are for here. Okay, let's take a look at the 4th line. I believe the right hand is identical and we just moved the left. We're going to add one note, which will turn this into a blues scale, a dark blues scale or a minor blues scale. So we had these 5 that we're using for the pentatonic, and we're going to add that one right there, which you could see on the page at the top line. Kind of complicates our fingering a little bit because we now have 6 notes and only 5 fingers. So depending on where you're going, which direction you're going, I've changed the fingering. And there's more than one way to do it, so feel free to monkey with it. The general principle is you don't want to run out of fingers so that you end up pinkying it, jumping on your pinky, and you don't want to have to twist really uncomfortably either. So that's a good fingering that you could try out. Let's try them together. And then one note I will say about the pedal, if you're pedaling on this, you'll want to pedal a little bit more because that's not the greatest sound in the world. So I just pedaled a little bit sooner, or just barely pedal until I get past that, and then you can pedal more normally. Okay, then the 2nd line, we're going to add back our F sharp. And this line is really all about the syncopation. That's what's going to make it hard. I'll slow it down. Keeping your left hand steady and you're lining your right up with the left as you see it on the page, you'll end up getting the rhythm right, even if the counting is a little confusing. All right, next line is more about getting your hands coordinated and playing evenly together, which can be challenging enough. And if this is hard to do at the beginning, slow it down or do it little bursts. like that. It will be hard at the beginning, but the more you do it, the easier it will be. Also, remember to play with your arm weight and be hanging down in a relaxed manner and not down here. Don't try to make your fingers do all the work, because that will make it even harder to be easy, to be relaxed rather. All right, so let's take a look at the last line. Just kind of combined a bunch of different things. So each of these little bits that we're learning and helping you to get your hands coordinated together are jumping off points. So don't take them as gospel. In fact, you could switch them a little bit if you don't like them. And the more you practice them, the easier they will be, and you'll be building muscle memory. And then the last page, just like in the previous exercise, is left hand written out only, and you can fill in your right hand the way you want. So I'd love to hear what you're doing with it, and I will see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss another tutorial or a piano book tour showing you what's inside. So have fun making music, and I will see you in the next video.